Moving Wisconsin forward, one joke at a time, this is Kristen Bry with As Goes Wisconsin.
Yada, yada, yada.
Hello, Wisconsin!
Hey, Jane. I have a question for you.
Yes.
Why is cell phone reception so good in Wisconsin?
Why is cell phone reception so good in Wisconsin?
Mm-hmm.
We have lots of towers.
Because even the smallest towns have at least 4 bars.
Oh,
Da-da-da!
Rim shot.
It is National Tell a Joke today.
Oh no.
National Tell a Joke Day today. So throughout today's show, we're going to sprinkle in jokes, and we would love to hear your best joke. So as you are listening today, feel free to text in your favorite dad joke, your favorite pun.
Just keep
it clean. I mean, it can be a little dirty, but
there's no swears.
No swears. Use your discretion. 844-967-2789. Yes, it is. It is so unfortunate because Greg Bach is not here today.
I know.
To enjoy National Tell a Joke Day.
Oh, some of these would give him
with
pain,
us.
I think.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll bust out some of the jokes I had in my stand up at one point. And luckily it's radio, so I won't be able to hear no one laugh. But to get to the topic to start today, what responsibility do businesses have when it comes to hosting or not hosting controversial organizations or groups? Is it worth boycotting businesses when they choose to host controversial groups? Is it worth doxing might be a strong word, but outing them when they choose not, outing people who work for those organizations when they choose not to? Because this is a story from last week, but it's kind of ongoing, that Moms for Liberty, which we have talked about, it's a national group with multiple chapters in Wisconsin. It has been designated a hate group by Southern Poverty Law Center. Some people contend that is a bad or false categorization. But they were planning multiple events, or are planning multiple events, to coincide with the RNC debate
next week.
And they said their town hall event was canceled, according to Moms for Liberty, because the fight for parental rights is so controversial. So this has kind of been an ongoing story of where are they going, where are they not going. But the group had planned a town hall with presidential candidates for 10 a.m. August 23rd. So that's the morning of the debate next week. And there was confusion about where the event was going to be located. And a spokesperson for Moms for Liberty told the Journal-Sentinel last week that the event would be at the Italian Community Center.
The ICC.
The ICC, which is owned by Barlotta, the restaurant group.
Right.
And then on Saturday, a spokesperson from Barlotta said there was no event booked for August 23rd at the center, and that there will be not be an event for Moms for Liberty at the Italian Community Center. On Monday, Moms for Liberty said the Italian Community Center canceled their event. Now, there's also other events happening confirmed at the Pfister. At one point, people were saying it was going to happen at the St. Kate. Both the Pfister and the St. Kate in Milwaukee, two of the nicest hotels in Milwaukee, both owned by the Marcus Corp, which owns tons of stuff,
lots of stuff,
including, like the Marcus Theaters, which you've probably attended. And that one, someone from the Marcus Group has confirmed that it is at the Pfister. It is not the St. Kate. And there's one group that is protesting, which I think is within their right. But there was also a Reddit thread that started saying, since Marcus is okay hosting Moms for Liberty at the Pfister, should you want to choose an alternative hotel, water park, restaurant, or movie theater instead of one owned by Marcus in the future? Their entire lineup is listed on their site. And on the flip side of that, on the other side of that coin, Wisconsin right now wrote up about the ICC canceling the event and basically outed the woman who is the president, not outed, but like put her name out there.
Fingered her.
And, Wisconsin right now has some followers who may take it into their own hands to
Take it further.
Yeah, take it further. But they started retweeting things that this woman, who is the president of the Italian Community Center, has tweeted in the past. Clearly, this woman is anti-Trump ish. But the question becomes, in these situations when these groups, book places because they believe that they have a right to assemble and everything. What responsibility is it on the companies that have event spaces to say, no,
We don't want you.
we don't want you? And also, but on this, like when they do, because they're a business and that's part of their business model, and it doesn't necessarily mean they support those groups, is it fair to protest and boycott them? 844-967-2789. What do you think? I mean, as much as you can disagree with Bombs for Liberty, should they just not be allowed to host their events anywhere because people disagree with them? I don't know. 844-967-2789. What do you think, Jane?
It's really complicated because, again, free enterprise, right? They're privately held companies. If you want to host this group because you need the money or whatever, this is how you run your business, you should certainly be entitled to do that. At the same time, we have the right to protest peacefully. But all this targeting and all this fingering people and that's scary to me because we've already seen over the last 5 years people who have taken things into their own hands and committed violence.
Yeah.
And that's a very real consideration these days.
So you mean like you're talking about more of Wisconsin right now highlighting the president of the ICC?
The ICC, absolutely. I think that's really irresponsible. Look at what happened to those 2 election workers in Georgia. Their lives were destroyed.
And I mean, and what they're trying to point out is that this woman is clearly biased, but like, isn't that within her right?
And don't we all have bias?
If that's her job and she won't lose her job for turning down an event, because ultimately if everything comes back to the bottom line of my job, this is how I'm judged by doing my job. And mostly if you are an event space, you need to book events and get revenue for hosting those events. And so if ICC has enough demand that she felt like it was within their right to not host that committee, even if she did it for her own political reasons, or because apparently they canceled they originally took the deposit and then they canceled it after the Journal Sentinel article was printed. So maybe they wanted to avoid the protests, which then is again within people's rights to protest. But ultimately, like, where do you draw the line on this stuff? As far as businesses need to make money, and
it's up to their discretion.
Like, but to play the other side of that, how extreme does the group need to be? Because I'm not sure the Pfister would be taking a Nazi group.
Proud Boys.
So I don't know. I just think it's local. It's a local issue here. And it's something that I think Milwaukee specifically with the convention next year, how many places are you going to boycott? How many places that are trying to take advantage of the situation of 50,000 people descending upon the city, looking for spaces to host parties, host panels, host all these different town meetings, town halls. And so every place that hosts a group that you don't agree with, you're going to boycott?
It's going to be very time consuming. It is. You better clear your calendar.
And so would love to hear from you as far as where is the line when it comes to the responsibility of businesses to either take all groups, use their discretion, and on the flip side, when they do use their discretion, people wanting to protest and boycott those businesses. 844-967-2789. Because, it's like, are we, for everyone who's still upset about the RNC coming at all, are you just going to like never go to the Wisconsin Center again?
Ever? And that's your form of protest?
And, especially something with the Marcus Group. The Marcus Group does a lot. They give a lot of money away. They're a big part of the Milwaukee community.
For sure.
And so does that count for anything? Or is it just because of this one thing that you're now, at least according to this Reddit thread, people are saying, jumping on the bandwagon as far as like, I hate that company. Blah, 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 blah. All right. Well,
do that sound once more. Oh, thank you. I love that.
It might sound like a Muppet. We would love to hear from you on this topic and your thoughts on more, specifically maybe the Moms for Liberty and them hosting their events in Milwaukee this coming week over the next year. But more generally, knowing that this is coming ahead of us in a year from now when the RNC comes to Milwaukee, what responsibility and discretion should businesses be using when it comes to who they let rent out their space? 844-967-2789.
And don't forget, it is National Joke Day.
Yes.
So if you have a joke, you can text it in. You can call it in. 844-967-2789.
We'll come back with a joke, either mine or a caller's. So if you got one, call now. This is As Goes Wisconsin. We'll be right back.
Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more.
What you say?
Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. I am Kristen Bryce. She is Jane Metnair. It is National Tele-Joke Day. And I think we got someone who has a joke.
We do, Gary from Sussex. Good morning, Gary. We are so ready for your joke.
Well, it's really not so much a joke. It's a true story, and it's really sad. So my wife and I wanted to join our church, and our pastor said, well, if you want to join the church, you have to show restraint and willpower. And he said to us, you cannot make whippy at all for 1 month. My wife and I looked at each other and we said, oh my gosh, Then there's another couple that was there that was married 20 years. And the pastor said the same thing to them. You cannot make whippy at all for 1 month. And they said, oh man, that's going to be tough. Then there was another couple there that just got married last week. And they said, oh my gosh, we want to join the church so bad, but this is going to be very difficult, but we're going to try. So all three couples, we went off for a month. We came back and the pastor said, well, Gary and Beth, how did you guys do? Because we've been married for 50 years. And we said, no problem at all, Pastor. We're great. He said, okay, you can join the church. Then he asked the other couple that was married 20 years, and they said, oh, man, we struggled. But we did it for 30 days. We withheld, making love. And then all of a sudden he said, okay, you can join the church too. The last couple that was only married for 1 week, they said, oh, Pastor, we made it for an hour, and I'm sorry. What happened was, my wife had a can of corn in her hand, and she dropped it on the floor. And I looked at her and I said, I can't stand it. I just grabbed it. We made mad, passionate love right there. And they said, well, you can't join the church. And I said, yeah, that's not the only problem. We can't go back to the supermarket anymore either.
Good payoff. Good payoff, Gary.
A nice one, Gary.
Make whoopee. Thanks for the joke, Gary. If you have a joke for us today, feel free to text it in, call it in. We will be doing this the whole day. I have some up my sleeve.
That is a different skill set. I
just
don't
remembering jokes.
Remembering jokes. I don't remember jokes.
I don't really. I have one that I'm gonna tell later in the show that I've known. The one that I've stuck with since I was a kid. As a kid, I feel like I knew more jokes.
The simple, snowman jokes and reindeer jokes.
But now less so. Then we got one more from Josh Egan on the YouTube live stream. You can always watch us on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, along with listen to us at As Goes Wisconsin. When two vegans get in an argument, is it still called a beef?
Oh, I got to find a rim shot. Another one, texter from the 414, my favorite dad joke. I'll try and do my best. How deep is a frog pond? Knee deep. Knee deep.
Knee deep.
Knee deep.
Got it.
Knee deep.
All right. Well, keep those coming. We are going to do that the whole day because this show is supposed to be funny.
It's National Joke
even
Day.
though sometimes it's not. The topic at hand, though, is this debate over letting the Moms for Liberty groups in Wisconsin host events at different venues, and then the reaction to those venues for running their business and letting them have their events there. And is it not up to the discretion of the business? Do they deserve to be boycotted or protested if they do let groups like that have their events there? Do they deserve to get scorned from, let's say in this example, from the right if they choose not to? Or is this just business as usual and you should be protesting the groups if you disagree with the groups rather than the businesses? We have a comment from Joe McClear, our friend. Everyone is going to make their own personal determination when an organization goes too far and when it's not okay for another organization to host them. There will always be a give and take in this area, but Moms for Liberty of all groups has no standing to complain about this. Scarlett Johnson, a very prominent and vocal Wisconsin Moms for Liberty member, notoriously went scorched earth on Target for simply having a pride section during Pride Month. Goose gander, something, something.
That's not a bad point.
That's true. It's like, oh,
oops,
I can protest you,
but you can't
protest
me.
that to me because this is just parental rights.
Yeah.
But that's where I come back to this. I feel like the ability that because what are you going to do? I mean, basically you can be mad at the Common Council and Chevy Johnson and David Crowley, who are all Democrats who voted to have the RNC come. But now that they're coming, like, are you really going to boycott every business that tries to take advantage of the situation? I just don't think that's
realistic.
Well, or even fair. Like, if some of these businesses are in the situation where like they're doing well enough that they can stick by their political beliefs and they don't want to host people, great. But like, I don't know if you can really begrudge them for like, give me your money. But get your deposit up front so they can not pay you later.
844-967-2789. Beverly from Richland Center. Good morning, Beverly. What do you think? We got about a minute and a half.
I think we've got every right and responsibility to boycott certain groups.
The groups or the business?
Somebody like Moms, well, even like Moms for Justice, they are promoting such hate. Any business that's willing to allow them in, I think we have a right and a responsibility to fight against that. Now, we don't have a lot of tools to use. We've got the rule of law, we've got voting, and we've got our voices and our feet to stand up against things that we think are wrong. And so I think using our voices and our feet is something we have to do.
All right. So you think it's fair game that that we protest the groups like the Pfister?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And
thanks a lot, Beverly.
Thanks for the call, Beverly. And I think for me personally, I'm not a Moms for Liberty fan.
I'm not either.
But it's not the last story of this that we're going to hear. And so I'm interested to hear from you. I think we just had a caller who might have let go. Call back if you can, because we will take it on the other side of the break. 844-967-2789 if you have thoughts about this. But then we also have some good, the bad, and the throttling. And then we're also going to talk about the Rebecca Bradley Wikipedia story before the end of the hour. So stay with us. Tell us your jokes. This is As Goes Wisconsin.
You can't mean.
Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. I'm Kristen Bry. She is Jane Matnair. We are taking your jokes all day.
National Joke Day.
Because it's National Telejoke Day.
Oh, National Telejoke.
Because there's so many national days, I'm sure there's also a National Joke Day. So maybe we'll get to do this again before too long, because this is fun.
It is.
So if you have jokes that are clean enough to say on air, text them in, call them in. We will be taking them all day. And it sounds like our next caller has both an opinion and a joke. Price, what do you got?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Quick thing on the Moms for Liberty and the difference between them and kind of the Republican convention is allegedly, there's still Republicans that still have not a single-minded view of basically erasing a marginalized population, like Moms for Liberty, Wisconsin Institute for Liberty and Law, which promotes, it really does. It promotes violence. And down here in Texas, there was a bakery that just put up a pride flag, and they got flamed and their business got affected. So people came together and supported them. But that happens a lot down here where something happens to support the gay community or trans community or whatever. They really get flamed by the right side. Same thing with Will and Keel and all that kind of stuff. So that's the difference between the bigger party coming. I'd like to think anyway, of the bigger Republican Party coming, because there's got to be, hopefully Republicans that are against that kind of thing. Anyway.
So do you feel like, just to go back, because hold on your joke, because I know you get one. But do you think it's fair game to boycott the business along with the group itself?
Well, honestly, fair play. That's the tactic of Moms for Liberty is they will go after anyone who's puts up a pride flag. They'll go after schools that promote literal safe spaces. Down here, two members of Moms for Liberty went into the library after hours when it was closed and were pulling books from shelves. It's crazy. So,
aren't you just so happy that your mom's not one of these moms? I'm like, thanks.
I'm so happy.
Oh my gosh.
Look, my mom's I'm an FDR family from like way back. So that came from my grandpa, that goes through my mom, that goes through me. I'm a New Deal guy. But just on that real quick before I get to my joke, when John's on, can you ask him if he talked to these people about like othering, like when he did his thing, like minorities, gay people and all that? Because I watched the video and it really opened up my eyes. The only thing that I think could be the difference would be like, what's those people's opinions on minorities?
Totally. Did you text in that question last week?
That was me, yeah.
Yeah, so I got that flag to ask him, so I will certainly ask him later today. But now we want to hear your joke.
Okay, I'll tear it down. So, okay, this is an up north joke because I grew up close to UP. So Ole and Lena go to the air show, and there's a helicopter. It says, "Joe Wright helicopter. You'll be scared." And Ole says, "Die, not good. Be scared of this helicopter ride." The guy says, "Oh yeah." He says, "Yeah." So he says, "Okay, if you, I'll take you for a ride. If you don't make a peep, I'll give you your money back." And Ole says, "Okay, that sounds good. Let's go, Lena." So a guy gets on the helicopter takes off. He starts doing spins. He goes upside down. He's twisting and turning. And he flies down and he lands the helicopter. He says, "Oh, I got to give it up for you, Ole. I thought for sure that you get scared." And Ole says, "Yeah, I almost said something when Lena fell out, but I kept it cool."
Oh, you love those Ole and Lena jokes.
Oh, nice. Thanks for the call. Thanks for both your opinion and the joke, Price. And we will certainly ask John Russell that later. As a reminder, John Russell, our friend from Appalachia, Ohio, is going to be joining us at 11:30 today because he recently went to a Trump rally.
Yes.
And had a very sincere conversation. So it's like the inverse of a Jordan Klepper video. And I'm so excited to hear what he learned from that. And also we will link, obviously, the video from that he did along with a more perfect union if you want to go ahead and watch that later. But really looking forward to that conversation. We got more jokes?
We have more jokes.
All right.
Tom from LA is joining us. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, ladies. First off, we the people ultimately are the government, and we must never forget that. And we need to get money out of politics. And my joke would be, what happened to the Wisconsin people that paid so much of their hard-working money towards their taxes? What happened to them?
I don't know. What happened to them, Tom?
They got Foxconned.
Oh, what a bump. I'm glad you mentioned that,
Not
though.
good, but...
Hey, I'm glad you mentioned that, though, Tom, because Foxconn just put up their innovation center buildings in downtown Green Bay, and there's another one, too. They're up for sale now.
They're up for sale.
Wah, wah, wah.
Well, then someone will make some money.
Foxconn.
That Foxconn. Thank you, Tom. That's a good one.
844-967-2789. You can call and or text if you want to chime in on this Moms for Liberty issue. If you have a joke you would like to share, please let us know. From the 262 Moms for Liberty issue, private and particularly small businesses need to do whatever they need to do to keep afloat, at least within the boundaries of the law. I'm not going to stop seeing movies at Marcus theaters just because their corporation hosted Moms for Liberty. On the flip side, I certainly hope they are protesting the message of Moms for Liberty.
And they did say, let me see if I can get that quote. This was their quote when asked, the Marcus Group, when asked about Moms for Liberty being at the Pfister. As a hotel and meeting venue, we accommodate guests from a wide range of backgrounds and viewpoints. Providing such accommodations should not be seen as a support for any particular set of beliefs, which is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But for now, yes, if you have more opinions on that, we will certainly take them. But for now, I was going to move on to a couple good, bad, and throttling headlines happening today, or at least I saw today. This first one is from Up North News in response to President Biden was here yesterday.
Yes.
We did not get to go.
We did not.
I did get invited, which was very cool.
You're on the list.
Mike, husband Mike, also graciously said that I could take you.
Oh.
And so, because I told him about our conversation, I was like, "Would you have wanted to go?" And he goes, "Yeah." And then he said, "But like, she probably." I don't know if I can't remember if he offered or if I said, because Jane was wondering. He goes, "Oh no, you could take Jane."
Oh, that's sweet. Of course,
so,
then I would have pulled out the "I'm old" card.
Yeah, I have fewer chances to do this.
I could drop dead before this next opportunity comes up. No guilt involved.
Yes, but 1 year ago today, President Biden signed the Inflation Reduction Act into law, lowering health care and prescription drug prices for Americans. And in Up North News's newsletter this morning, they outlined a couple different ways that the Inflation Reduction Act helped Wisconsin specifically. 43,000 Wisconsinites have kept their health insurance thanks to the extension of subsidies that made premiums more affordable. Another 22,000 are saving money on their premiums thanks to the extension of those subsidies. 32,000 Wisconsinites on Medicare who use insulin now pay no more than $35 a month.
Huge.
Which is huge for their prescription, which saves about $628 a year. And 950,000 Wisconsin seniors are able to get the shingles vaccine for free. So, but that was some good news.
That is good news.
Good things that have happened.
For sure.
The bad, and this kind of goes with our conversation from Monday when we talked to Brian Sampson and Isaac Hoffman about homelessness in La Crosse. But this is not just a La Crosse thing.
No.
Homelessness is surging in America, period. The number of people experiencing homelessness in the U.S. has increased 11% so far this year.
Wow.
Over 2022.
Wow.
And it's the biggest year. It's the biggest jump by far, equivalent to government records beginning in 2007. So this is a huge jump, a fairly unprecedented jump. And nonprofit, I think this is similar to what both Brian and Isaac told us on Monday.
Yes.
It is specific, what's in La Crosse, but everywhere, nonprofits and government agencies are saying it's attributed to the lack of affordable housing and rental units and the opioid crisis. And I gotta say, this is a reminder that you never know who's listening to the show, and also a reminder to anyone who's listening, always feel free to reach out to us.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it always, unless you have complaints, then
send them to Greg.
Then it doesn't feel good.
Send them to Greg Bach. No,
but largely when we hear from you, and because we don't really know who's listening, how many people are always listening, where they're listening from. But I got an email last night from someone who, was thankful that we talked about this on Monday and specifically talked about the stigma and the assumptions of how people become homeless, because he said he lived in his car for 6 months not because he couldn't afford an apartment, but because he didn't have enough credit.
And he had to have a longer credit history.
He had to have a longer credit line for someone to be able to take a risk on him to rent to him. And once he had enough credit, he got an apartment. But it's just those things. It's it's not a moral failing. It's lack of a familial safety net, or even, friends that, it's stuff that you were talking about this morning, like,
Well,
when you're 12, you have a root canal and it's $1,200, and you're like, I don't have that.
I don't have $1,200, and I don't have any friends who have $1,200.
And so for those, those of us who have a family member who you pay them back or whatever, and it's like, and then you just don't think about it. But like, not everyone has that.
Many people don't have that.
So,
and I think too, and we've talked about this before, we attribute wealth with morality and poverty with immorality. And that's not accurate. It's just not.
No.
Just because you're rich doesn't mean you're a good person, and just because you're poor doesn't mean you're a bad person.
I mean, just look at the Tuohys.
Oh man, oof,
that is a mess.
Oh boy, and is Mr. Tuohy lucky that they had that guy portray him in that movie
by Tim McGraw?
Yeah, because he doesn't look anything like
he
that.
does not look anything like Tim McGraw, and
no.
she doesn't really look anything like Sandra Bullock either.
No.
If you don't know, what we're talking about Michael Orr, who was the titular character in The Blind Side. There's a lot of drama going on this week as far as him claiming that they put him in a conservatorship.
They never adopted him.
Well, and that's
because he was 18.
Because he was 18. But that never adopting someone and treating them as your own is very different than, hey, we're going to put you in a conservatorship
so we can control your money.
Which we all have. We followed the saga of Britney Spears and how abusive her parents were with her finances, with the controlling her life, and like how abusive conservatorships can be. That this was a man who was not disabled,
right,
and was in no way needed to be in a conservatorship at all. But that's a different story. We can talk about maybe that like later this week. And then finally, the throttling. Elon Musk. This is another one we have to add to the list of like, how much do we actually want to cover him? Because he's in the news all the time.
I know.
Elon Musk's X, formerly known as Twitter, has been throttling traffic to websites he dislikes.
Oh, there's a shocker.
So Twitter, I'm still calling it Twitter.
I am too. Come after me, Elmo.
Added a 5-second delay when users clicked on links to the New York Times, Facebook, and other sites Musk has attacked in the back. I'm sure NPR was in there. And why does that matter? Maybe if you're in parts of Wisconsin, you're very used to delays because the reception is actually very bad in most of Wisconsin.
Right.
Instead of like my joke. But people are impatient. And so are they going to wait the 5 seconds, or are they just going to go back to Twitter if the thing that you're clicking on isn't going to load? And so that can cause a huge traffic plunge for these websites that he's trying to be a little petty against. But the Washington Post published a story yesterday about it, and then X began removing the delays on some of the sites.
Oh, no kidding.
So
well.
So if you experienced any of that yesterday, Twitter's been weird. Like I feel like I've been tweeting stuff, and like I tweeted out my Wisconsin State Fair video, which was received very well on other platforms. I don't think I got a single like on it on Twitter. Not that matters, but it's like there's something going on over there.
There is something going on. We're going to come back with a joke, by the way.
All right, we're coming back with a joke. If you have a joke, 844-967-2789. Call, text. We'll read it as long as it's clean. This is As Goes Wisconsin. Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. I am Kristen Bry. She is Jane Madnair. And it's National Tell-A-Joke Day, so we are having fun all day hearing your jokes.
Absolutely.
Maybe having some of our own jokes, but sprinkling them throughout today's show. What do we got in the text line, Jane?
From the 715. Oh, it's a classic. What is green and sings, Kristen Bry?
The Grinch at Christmas?
Elvis Parsley.
Oh.
Hello. From the 608. Did you ever notice when you see geese flying south in a V that one line is longer than the other? Do you know why?
I don't.
There are more geese in that line. And from the 262, this is from Jude or Judy in East Troy. This is funny to me. If I ever go missing, I want my picture on a 40-ounce beer rather than a milk carton because I want the fun people to be the ones Who find me?
Nice. That's just facts. That's not even a joke. The first one, the V1, reminds me of this one. What's the difference between an Indian and an African elephant?
I don't know.
One's an elephant.
Oh. Groner. Groner.
Oh.
John from the Falls also checking in on the text line. I just like the joke of the day idea. Life gets pretty heavy sometimes.
Maybe we should keep this.
That's great.
Maybe, I don't know, we'll pick a day of the week where we just have people tell us jokes.
Call in with your jokes.
Yeah.
Text in with your jokes. That's always good.
It's always fun. Well, this kind of feels like a joke, this story.
It really does.
And it's so trivial. And sometimes it's like, why is this a news story? But it's also kind of fun. So I do not have, I'm waiting for what threshold I have to pass to get my own Wikipedia page. But I would never, ever create my own Wikipedia page. And you're not supposed to, right?
No, you're not.
You're not supposed to edit it yourself. Your friends and family aren't supposed to edit it, or it is supposed to be something that is a crowdsourced, independent thing. So it's because I feel like that's why I say I would never do it, because I also feel like that is a sign that you have become of public notoriety enough that someone felt like
you deserve
a page. But sometimes we hear these stories that things get updated on Wikipedia that sometimes are a joke. They get taken down pretty quickly, but because they're a living document as far as people being able to crowdsource and add and edit. But one of the main tenets is specifically that you are not supposed to edit your own page.
If the page is if it's a Kristen Bry page, Kristen cannot go in and edit stuff if someone puts something in there that you don't like.
And beyond not supposed to be that you're not supposed to do that as far as the terms of use from Wikipedia. Also, it's just a little tacky.
Well, yes.
But I also get that it's got to,
it's got to sting.
Grind your gears.
Yep, it's got to sting.
When you're a public person and you feel wronged by the information that people are sharing about you, whether you think it's misrepresentational.
Not accurate.
Misrepresentative.
Misrepresentational, I think.
Is that okay?
We'll go with that.
So this week, Wisconsin's muckraker, Daniel Bice from Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, love him or hate him, did a deep dive on the fact that Justice Rebecca Bradley, who is very conservative, has been quietly editing her own Wikipedia page.
Oh.
Which is funny because, you'd think, I tend to think that people who are on Wikipedia a lot editing things, that's what they do. And she has a whole job of stuff that she should be focused on. But turns out she has enough time that she's been, having to make some changes on her Wikipedia biography and was
tweaking
a couple things. And someone finally realized she was doing it and tweeted out that they, basically called her on it. And so when Dan Bice reached out to her to ask to confirm or deny, her response was, "Liberal media has distorted my record since the beginning of my judicial career, and I refuse to let false accusations go unchecked. On my Wikipedia page, I added excerpts from actual opinions and removed dishonest information about my background." So there was a couple different things. One was when she notoriously, during oral arguments during the stay-at-home orders, compared the state's stay-at-home orders to the internment of Japanese Americans during World War II. And she did not write that in her actual statement. And so she went back and took that, what her oral arguments were, off of her Wikipedia page, even though that was what really made the news at that time.
And she did say it.
Oh, yeah, she said it.
Okay.
She didn't write it, but she said it.
So it's a quote.
And that got a lot of attention because George Takei, who was in a Japanese American internment camp when he was 5 to 9, and also Star Trek fame, has a lot of Twitter followers, called her on it. And so there was a couple different things. She also revised the description of her majority opinion in the 2021 redistricting case. And and then there was one more. What was the other one? I can't find what the last one was. But now her page has been flagged on Wikipedia's conflict of interest notice board.
Wow.
So she's on notice for doing this.
Oh.
Which is hilarious because now she being on notice, I don't think she has the standing to combat the dozens of people who have now gone to her Wikipedia page since the Journal Sentinel article to not only edit the things that she had, like edit back the things that she had changed, but also add some more stuff. And so that's opened a little bit of a can of worms for herself.
Should have left it alone.
But it's funny because I noticed the same thing when I made a video about Derek Van Orden's situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to his Wikipedia page and someone already because, like, especially as you're a bigger figure, your page is longer. There's more stuff to put, but there's always like the above section that is kind of like the brief summary of who this person is and notable things about them. And then everything underneath is like early childhood, education, career, personal, controversies, like the subheadings. In his like top summary bio, there's already the screamed at teenagers. I bet he wish he could edit that.
I bet he does too. Although it's a badge of honor if you're Derek Van Orden.
Maybe.
He's not going to take crap from anybody, Kristen, not even a bunch of teenagers, because he's tough.
All right. Well, we got to take a break for the top of the hour news. Coming up in the next hour, we have John Russell coming in at 11:30. Peter Burris from Wisconsin Conservation Voters is here to talk about the PFAS money where's it going to go? Now we have $125 million for it. And we still want to take your jokes. So text them in, call them in, 844-967-2789. And we'll be back in a moment. This is As Goes Wisconsin.